Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be building this Revell F-86D in 148 scale. So this kit is pretty nice, I have to admit, although it is a 2001 tooling, so you can't really expect anything from it. It's also designated a level 4 when it comes to skill, and I can confidently say that it's also a level 4 when it comes to headache levels. As per Scalemates, the only thing that this kit offers that is actually new are the decals and the brand new colored instruction sheet, which Revell has been using for the last couple of years. All of the issues will be pointed out throughout the videos, and I will also point out all of the pluses that this kit has, because with downs there must also be ups. As you can clearly see, the detail is not bad at all. Unlike the DL335, which I've built, it has mismatched printing on the wings, and I that was not nice. On a more positive note, construction starts with the cockpit as always, and I have to say the detail inside is not bad at all. This is the detail that I've been talking about. You can see there's also some parts that need to be glued in. So overall, this is not a bad cockpit at all. So I've started painting with this gray color, the cockpit straight on the plastic. I haven't used any primer whatsoever. And this paint layer will actually act as somewhat of a primer unintentionally, because I realized this paint wasn't dark enough. So I added some drops of black, I think, inside the inside the paint ratio, and then it turned out better. As you can see, this is the correct shade of gray that it's supposed to be. And now the headrest will get a nice fiery red color. In hindsight, I should have thinned this paint more. As you can see, it's quite a bit thick. And now the frame for the cockpit seat is slided in. This is a friction fit. I haven't used any glue at all. And after that, I glued on the actual seat. The instrument panel has quite a bit of detail, as you can see, and sadly there's no decals whatsoever for this, so everything has to be picked out by brush. And of course, I believe I used some dry brushing techniques. You will see this in a little bit. But why, Revell? Why haven't you given us, with all these brand new decals, some an instrument panel decal? One would have sufficed, but there's none, which is sad. And I feel like this really sucks, especially for such a well detailed instrument panel. A good decal that would have been softened inside the instrument panel would have looked fabulous. And now it's time to go to town with some of that dry brushing because there's also no side panel decals, which also I feel like sucks. One decal would have been nice, but I did manage to get the most out of it. Also, you can see the dry brushing I was talking about on the instrument panel. I also picked out some of the buttons in shades of red and whites and light grays, so it breaks up the surface. The inside will get the most minor of chips, and the outside you will see has absolutely no weathering whatsoever. And that is because I wanted the aircraft to look at it as if it just came back from a touch-up, like the paint was refreshed and all of the stains were cleaned up, except for the cockpit where they didn't really bother as much because the exterior matters most. So that's why there's absolutely no stains on the aircraft or nothing. It feels brand new. All the old or damaged panels have been replaced by newer ones, which is why there's multiple shades of silver and aluminum. But you will see that later on. Okay, it's time for the history lesson on the North American F-86D. Developed from the F-86 Saber in 1949 to the 1950s, the stock Saber divorced its guns and remained with his 24 uncles, the 70mm Mighty Mouse rockets, mounted in a rocket tray under the nose. It also got a General Electric J47 afterburning engine and was successfully operated by several other countries, including its other variants, the K and L variants. In November of 1952, the Sabre really put the dog in its name by setting a speed record of 689 freedom units, or miles per hour. Of course, for the rest of the world, it's 1,124 kilometers per hour. This record was set by Captain J. Slade Nash, showing that both Nash and the F-86 had that dog in them. With that mouthful out of the way, it's time to finally move on to painting the inside of the fuselage halves, and this is done in the same gray that was used in the cockpit, also with no primer. And now finally everything gets a nice coat of gloss varnish to seal everything in. And now the cockpit subassembly finally gets joined with one of the fuselage halves. There were no issues whatsoever here, and I was pleasantly surprised by the fit, which is pretty unusual when it comes to Revell kits. No matter how much I will complain about Revell kits and their poor quality, I will never stop building them. Revell just holds a special place in my heart, as it was the first company of the first kits that I've ever built in my life when I was little, and since then Revell has always stuck with me, for better or for worse. And I've built some pretty good kits from Revell. Not all of their kits suck, but they're mostly re-releases from the past with a shiny new box and new decals, which no one cares about, frankly. Everyone wants new toolings for the parts to fit good. Everyone wants some photo etch included, some pre-cut masks included. Revell doesn't really do that, or if they do it, I think, in my opinion, they overcharge. Take a look at Edward, for example, or other manufacturers which don't overcharge for these bonuses in their kits. But Revell will always hold a special place in my heart, and no matter how bad or how good their kits will be, I will continue building them. a lot, and I mean a lot of sanding was needed for this kit. There were a lot of seam lines, and even at the end, I apparently didn't manage to get them all, and so because silver paint tends to make those panel lines and those issues stick out more than darker paints or other types of paints. They are a bit visible at the end if you look closely, but I think that can be overlooked because I was never striving for perfection when it came to this kit. I started it with my mind already set on building it for fun and for relaxation, so I didn't really want to go above and beyond to fix all of the small issues that this kit had, especially because I got really frustrated with the last kit that I built, and I really didn't want to get myself involved with a lot of complicated kits, a lot of complicated aspects of this kit. So I just decided to take a breath and go with the flow with this one. And now the part where everyone holds their breath, the part where you attach the wings to the main fuselage. And the reason I'm saying this is because you don't know if you'll have a huge gap to fill or horrible seam lines, or if it'll be a very nice snug fit and you'll have minimal filling to do and everyone will be happy. You will go to bed with a smile on your face and you will finish the day happy. And not like some other crappy kids which have a huge seam line and a huge gap on their wings. Fortunately, this kit is not one of them. Only minimal filling was needed. And now it's time to work on that rocket tray that I was talking about earlier. This goes together nicely in a couple of parts and it's no hassle whatsoever. I really liked how Revell designed this. And now here we are gluing the rocket tray under the nose of the aircraft. This kit is very conveniently designed for you to be able to have the air brakes in an open or closed position. I of course opted for a open position because I wanted the extra detail and the extra, flashiness on the kit. And it went together very nicely. It's very nicely designed and I really have to give it to Revell here. And now it's time for the paint, which was foolishly done without a primer. How stupid of me. I should have used a black primer here, especially because this is silver paint and it doesn't really go on that well to bare plastic. This was mistake number one. Mistake number two was doing a improper thinning ratio. As you can see, the paint is a bit grainy. This was my first time working with such paints. These are new paints that I'm using right now for the first time. So I will definitely be doing more in the future, including using a primer, because this really isn't it. As you can see, it's quite grainy. You can see the small granules of the paint, and the texture, fortunately, isn't that rough. So that's a nice thing. I also masked off some panels to do them in a different color of aluminum, dark and light aluminum specifically by MRP. One of the bottles will be shortly flashed on screen, and those actually went down better than this silver metallic, and that's because I probably used a better thinning ratio for them, and I was also more careful with the application. The silver is, funnily enough, is also a MRP paint, but it's not a lacquer-based paint. It's a acrylic paint. And after removing the masking tape, you can really see the difference in the shades of the metallic colors. And now the underside of the aircraft will be painted in the stony gray color. Not the whole underside, but just a small section at the nose of the aircraft and also a section at the back of the aircraft. And now the anti-glare panel will get a nice coat of XF1 flat black from Tamiya. And now the reason that I actually chose this paint scheme is this beautiful, powerful orange. It just shines in your eyes, and I know some of the Sabers had this color, and I chose this specific camouflage because it has multiple sections of the aircraft in this color, and I really liked how it looked. I'm using a ammo orange here, and this went down without any issues. It's beautiful, I have to say. This really is my favorite part of this kit. One of the final steps into building this kit is placing the landing gears and the landing gear doors, all of which were pre-painted prior to being put on. And now the final element of the aircraft can be glued on, which is the external fuel tanks. Now, I will skip a step in the process because I have not done it on this kit. Because I wanted the kit to look clean and I thought it needed, I didn't actually apply any washes to the kit. So there's no washes on there, and that's something that many might consider weird for not doing, but I really like the result without them, and I didn't really want to take my chances with them, so I just left it as it was. Because I also really liked how it looked without any washes, and I thought the panel eyes were really visible, and so I didn't feel like a wash was really necessary, because if I've done a very dark wash, then it would be a very powerful contrast, so I just left it as it was, and I think it turned out very nice just as it is. And this is the result after almost 80 decals. I think it turned out lovely. And of course, a gloss coat is in order to seal everything in. Of course, a gloss would be appropriate for this as the aircraft is supposed to be shiny. And now we can finally remove all of the masking tape and the sponge that was in there on the cockpit and glue on the canopy in an open position and call this kit done. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and please let me know in the comments if you would like me to go more in depth with anything that I do, which means more painting or more time spent while gluing or anything in between. Please do let me know in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.